Nicky got me rolling, got me shaking, got me aching, got me twitching, got me snitching, got me making a fuss. Nicky got me bowled over, got me over his shoulder, got me slapping, got me whacking, got me smacking my lips. Oh, Nicolas Cage, oh, Nicolas Cage, he's an international treasure of ours, yeah.
There's only 2 Pratts tonight, ladies, gentlemen, and others.
Yeah, what happened to the other 2?
They're dead.
Oh, I thought we were going to come up with a fun, cover story. They're dead. Are we not going to... Should we tell them...
They killed each other in a lover's murder-suicide.
Who killed who? Who was the murder and who was the suicide? Who do you think out of John and Kieran would be most likely to commit a murder-suicide?
Well, they were in it together. I don't know.
This is like a who's top or bottom, but who murders who.
Yeah, maybe do
who
know
do you think
each other well enough to give that responsibility, or would they go back and forth for 10 minutes and
what decide who's?
No, you kill me and then kill yourself. No, you kill me. I think
like that bit in Shaun of the Dead at the end.
John would take control eventually and just shoot.
You think?
And then go on Minecraft.
Well, John is the older of the 2. So I think he would be like, I'm just going to have to be more mature about this, and I'm going to have to be the one that has to live with committing murder for 30 seconds
before murdering
themselves. And also, what would be the method? Are we talking stabby throat slice?
Yeah, guns aren't here, so it's that, or it's. I feel like John could.
I mean, John lives in the country.
Yeah.
And everyone and their mum's got guns around here.
Yeah,
farmers.
There are a lot of farmers around there.
Yeah,
so there would be if you
with
steal
guns.
a gun. You
I know
do
someone.
that.
Yeah, I know someone with a gun. If they might have gone to.
Okay, I mean, well, we have to off ourselves now. We should do it live on air.
We'll do what G.G. Allen never got to do and actually do it live.
Did he want to kill himself?
That was going to be his last hurrah. That he was going to kill himself on stage. It was an OD, apparently. Well, it was an OD. I think it was a sort of
shot of him at his funeral in the casket,
fucking bloated, smelly corpse
in a nappy.
Yeah, he got buried with his
Jim Beam.
Was it Jim Beam? I was
well, he
Jack
wrote
Daniels.
A song, or he covered a song about dying. And put a bottle of Jim Beam next to me, beside me when I'm dead. It's a nice song compared to exposing yourself to kids.
I was thinking about that in the car the other day. I was like,
exposing yourself to kids?
No, not exposing myself. Absolutely not. Definitely not that. But I was thinking about the musical masterpiece that is Exposing Yourself to Kids
by G.G. Allen.
Yeah. Wasn't it? It was a band. I think he was in a band and they did it.
I don't know the band's name. I mean, it's not good music. The whole appeal of G.G. Allen was
just that he was fucking batshit crazy.
And the story behind his character.
That he just shoved his dick in people's faces. And
yeah, I mean, it's not great what
no.
he did. Like, he
I'm more for the defecating in his hand and smearing it on himself.
Cutting himself open. It's a mad show was the thing.
The fact that he only did a show every couple of months because he had to properly recover from...
No one would have him. And he went on talk shows and was deliberately controversial.
Yeah, talking about...
Probably a bad man.
He's talking about... Well, you think of how much of it was actually a character.
Yeah, but also it's like the Alex Jones argument where it's even if it is a character, you're still leading people on a bad path, which is not, it's hateful and it's aggressive.
God, he was in a lot of bands. The Jabbers, the Scumfucks, Little Sisters Date,
I think the Scumfucks,
Malpractice, Anti-Scene, the Cedars St. Sluts,
the Cedars,
Carolina Shit Kickers, Bulge, the Toilet Rockers, the Criminal Quartet, this is my favourite, the Texas Nazis,
Jesus Christ,
David Peel, Bloody Mess and the Scabs, the Southern Baptist, and the Murder Junkies.
I like David Peel, it's unassuming. Like, if you heard G.G. Allen and David Peel, You wouldn't think.
You'd think that they were like a jazz duo.
If you hear the Texas or Kentucky Nazis, you think you're gonna get into some shit. But you hear David Peel, you're not. You're gonna go along. Is this a lovely little jazz quartet we're going to see tonight?
That's exactly what I. Yeah, or I think it might have just. Was it just G.G. Allen?
Probably did some solo stuff.
Another fucked up thing about G.G. Allen is that one of his album covers was drawn by John Wayne Gacy.
He's
the clown murderer.
Yeah, okay.
The guy that was on...
That tracks. Hopefully we don't attract a bunch of incels with the G.G. Allen talk.
Yeah.
He's big on the 4chan incel shit.
Is he?
Community. Yeah, 4chan love G.G. Allen.
Are 4chan and incels, are they...
I think there's a big incel community on 4chan.
Yeah,
That's where it came from, the black pilling and red pill, blue pill.
I mean, black pilling I can kind of get on board with in that everything's fucked.
Yeah, but I think when you shoot up a shopping centre full of people because you think you've black pilled.
No, don't do that. If you're going to shoot anyone, shoot yourself. As the message that I think we can take from this.
No.
I think the real message we can take from this is stay off 4chan.
I think the message we can take from this is Daniel and Nathan are not allowed to do podcasts on their own.
We're just going to completely fucking ruin it. How long can we go before we get cancelled?
It took about a minute to get onto G.G. Allen. Right.
Let's get on to
Guarding
another
Tess.
lovable rogue. Someone that's got some other fucking strange appearances on talk shows.
Nicolas Cage in Guarding Tess 1994. Directed by Hugh Wilson. Written by Hugh Wilson.
Huge Wilson.
PJ Torokavi?
Say the name?
PJ Torokavi.
I thought that was written in German for a second there. I don't know why. I saw hair and thought...
You're just so bilingual. It's starring Nicolas Cage, Shirley MacLaine, Austin Pendleton, and Richard Griffiths. Mm-hmm. Uncle Vernon Dursley.
Exactly.
And
Austin Pendleton is the guy that plays someone that may or may not be Santa Claus in Christmas with the Cranks. That's where I know him from.
Excellent. Synopsis is Nick Cage wastes taxpayer money guarding the rich and famous whilst there's some undeniable sexual tension between him and a mature widow.
I thought, like, my constant thing throughout the film is that they're gonna fuck.
Yes,
they're gonna fuck.
They toe the line of thank you, stepdaddy.
I think it was basically just Oedipus.
You think?
Wasn't it? I think it was Oedipus. Like, fucking
Freud
would have loved that shit.
He would have. He would have been all over that. He'd be jerking off to it with his fucking, like, psychology notes.
She's got a troubled relationship with her son, so she finds another son figure.
She does have a troubled relationship.
Yeah, she says that her and her kids have a weird relationship because they had a strange childhood growing up around political things in the public eye.
Well, the actual plot is that Nicolas Cage plays an FBI agent who...
No, he's Secret Service. He's not FBI.
Is that not the same thing?
No.
Okay. Well, he plays a special agent who is on the guard detail of the ex-first lady, the one before the current president. Mm-hmm. And so it's the whole thing is that it's a very boring detail. And he doesn't get to see any of the action, which is kind of weird, little, like, showing them seeing a mass shooting or some shit and all the special agents reacting to it, and they're like, oh, we wish we were there.
I want to be shooting people.
Yeah.
But then you think that, like, the reason that they got into the job was to... Either they're psychopaths and they just like shooting people, or they got into the job because they actually want to do some actual...
propaganda.
Actual policing and like actually protecting people
and they're
protect and
they're
serve.
Stuck with this who comes off as difficult first lady, but
Diva.
Like when we didn't do a podcast and covered Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, it's a similar character in that it's a person who is difficult because they are forced to be difficult, and because I guess part of her reason for being difficult is that she's dying of brain cancer. She has a tumor, which doesn't excuse being a dick.
No,
But there's motive behind her behaviour.
But unlike that film that we haven't seen or done a podcast on, I didn't like Ma Rainey at the end of it. But
I understood her reasoning more, I think, than I understood McLean's character.
But I liked Tess by the end of it.
I like Tess and I like Ma Rainey, but okay, there's a difference there. But I enjoyed this film.
So did I.
I think so far on the podcast I've not enjoyed a film. Like even Ant Bully I enjoyed.
I've been able to admit that that like G-Force was a trash film, but I had fun.
I don't even think Guarding Tess was a trash film. I think, and Kieran would have wanted to bring this up if he were not dead in The Lover Suicides.
Yeah, R.I.P.
About how it was advertised as FBI or Special Agent Nicolas Cage has to rescue the ex-First Ladies from a kidnapping, which happens... He actually
rescued her from herself.
Oh. Yes, because the kidnapping is about 20%.
It's the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's nothing to do that. They couldn't advertise it as a sort of drama between two quite expressive characters and stationary characters like fighting against each other. Like, and the most of it is just dialogue. It's all just talking between these two characters.
It's the blooming of the relationship from utter disdain to people that I think become common bedfellows.
Bedfellows.
Bedfellows. Rather strange bedfellows.
Strange bedfellows.
But one thing that did kind of... What I didn't like was I felt that the pacing was a bit weird. And that their relationship seemed to go from hate to love very, very quickly.
Yeah, but I don't think it was out without reason. I think there were key moments of understanding, and it all starts... So the film kind of starts with Nick Cage leaving the protection detail of Tess.
Thinking that he's going back to Washington to do actual...
Protect the president, whatever. But the president, because her... Tess's husband, who was president, and her did so much for his presidential campaign, he's like indebted to her, and so he gets sent
and the current
back.
President was the vice president of her husband
and
when he was president.
The timeline doesn't make sense in this film.
Okay.
Because it's set in 1992, and Ronald Reagan was president up until 1989, right? And then it was George Bush. And one of the agents says, who do you think would win in a fight? Nancy Reagan or Tess? And because Tess would have been First Lady after Reagan, it doesn't make sense that she would have been a First Lady and then there would be another president between the periods of 1989 to 1992. Do you understand?
But wasn't Bush was the president up until, was it
93.
When was Columbine?
I don't know.
Because that was Clinton. Was Bush a one-term...
Clinton was after Bush.
Yeah, was Bush a one-term president?
Yes. 1989 to 1993, I think. We can ask Joe and Amy.
George H.W. George H.W. Bush. And he was, until 93. Yeah. Okay. So...
You understand my logic?
Yeah. But... Didn't... He died during his presidency, didn't he?
Bush?
No, I'm talking about her husband. Didn't he have a massive... Was that not...
So this is an alternate timeline where
he took over.
Bush has been in power since 1989.
No, it's not Bush. It's a different president.
Yeah, but Bush, in quotation marks, Bush.
And then
he dies.
Died during his presidency, and his vice president. Because when the president dies in office, the vice president takes over.
But the current president in this film is indebted to her because her and her husband did so much for him in the campaign.
Did he say husband as well?
No, but he said her.
Yes,
and he said campaign.
Yeah, so he would have had.
But if he was just the vice president going to president, how would there be a campaign? Oh, because after that term finished,
yeah, because after that, again. Because they carry on until the end of the term.
Okay,
and then they run again.
Okay, we can understand. This is alternate timeline American history,
where the Bush family, where there has not been a Bush dynasty.
I feel like there wasn't enough explained in the movie for that. Maybe that would have been superfluous.
Or maybe we're just looking too far into it.
No, you can't.
You can never look too far into a picture.
That could clear up my main gripe with the film. Was the timeline.
Yeah. So, but then you think, where would the world be without the Bushes?
Better place.
Yeah, I mean, would the Middle East be more or less fucked?
I don't know, but I also think that we put too much emphasis on American politics because we're in Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, but American politics is really world politics, isn't it? Because America, because America goes somewhere and everyone fucking follows.
Okay, but Nick Cage, his sexual tension with Shirley MacLaine in this film, undeniable.
I thought it was fucking electric, man.
There was a really nice shot in this film just before Tess gets kidnapped. They go out for a picnic.
Yeah.
And there's just a shot of her sort of asleep, slumped over on a fold-out chair at a lake. And I just thought that would make a fucking brilliant painting. Just that shot, the way it was framed was it was perfect. Just the first lady, ex-first lady, slumped over asleep at the side of this lake. It was great. I think that's the only real bit of cinematography that I noticed. The rest of it was fairly standard.
The first shot of the film of the car pulling in, kind of looked like a TV show to me. It didn't really it didn't really track like cinema. That might have just been with the quality that I was watching it on, but it just looked like a TV show.
Right.
But I know the shot that you're talking of.
I mean, other than that, as I said, not much to note with cinematography, but all in all, good.
Which I don't really feel like the film suffered for it, because I mean, it's.
I mean, if it was bad cinematography, you'd notice it.
Yeah.
It's like when a goalkeeper performs badly, you notice it. But when they do their job, you don't.
Yeah, I feel like it was just a nice, there wasn't any big gripes I had with anything. No, I don't think there was. There was. I think we should talk about the sort of moment where Tess decides that she's going to start making an effort with Nick, and what's his character's name again? Doug.
I don't remember.
Doug.
Is it Doug?
It's Doug. Doug is it Chevnik? Might be Chevnik. But the sort of turning point is when she's obviously a widow, so she's watching clips or watching like a home video of moments with her and her husband, and she fast forwards through it and it gets to his funeral, which it zooms in on Doug sitting a couple of spaces away from her, and you can see him sort of visibly upset and going to wipe tears from his eyes. And And I think that's the moment when she, I don't know, something switches in her.
I think she appreciates the commitment he's had to the family and the years he's spent in, despite her sort of difficultness in what is a partially okay way to behave given the circumstances.
Yeah, I think she realizes that she's been difficult because she's not exactly happy. She's a recluse.
I think it's
since her husband's death, she, like they say it several times, is that she doesn't leave her room.
It's representative in a conversation. There's several conversations between Nicolas Cage and the president, where the president is telling Nicolas Cage off because he's got calls from Tess, Shirley MacLaine. And I think it's representative in that, where the president says, "I know and you know how difficult she could be," and maybe there's something in there about her having to deal with people and having to be difficult, like we said with Ma Rainey, like be difficult to get her voice heard, to get what she wants done, because she doesn't want to be protected by a security detail, which she says and exemplifies. But it's necessary because of what we see at the end of the film where she gets kidnapped. And so I think there's an understanding broach between her and Nick Cage where it's like, I need you, you need me, and we both respect each other to a degree.
Yeah.
And they sort of start to form an actual bond after that.
And that scene where where he's pouring coffee, and after she sees that, she goes out to his car, because this is right after she's sort of kicked out the security, but they're like, he decides he's going to stay outside in his car. And she comes up to the window and knocks on it, and he spills the coffee on himself. He's like, "Oh God, you frightened the bejesus out of me," or something like that. And she invites him inside for coffee. And that starts the trope. You want a
you
coffee.
You want to come in for coffee, and then it's I could do with the sherry.
Starts with would you join me in a highball? And he's like, "Yes, ma'am."
I don't drink, ma'am. You'll drink for me. Yes, I will, ma'am.
Drink, you drink, ma'am.
Drink, Dougie, and Dougie, dug a hole.
And that whole scene's very nice, where they start talking about each other's life, and they end up at a bar.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first moment where she kind of feels normal again, because it shows that while being a first lady in itself is not necessarily a job, it's something that she didn't ask for, and that she is only in the public eye because she just happened to be married to a person that became president.
I think that I would disagree, because there is a moment where it's discussed that the who she was married to, the president, was very dependent on her during his presidency. And I think...
Well, it's a job that she's not paid for, necessarily.
It was like a combined presidency, in that there's moments in the film where it mentions that she was the class president and he had below average grades. And it's almost like the only way she could have that, that power, that influence, being close to the presidency at that time, was to be the first lady. And
maybe she would have made a good first female president of America.
Yeah, but she does also represent the Hillary Clinton of the time, I suppose. It was the Bill Clinton. Well, she's a bit older than that. Yeah. But yeah.
But I think
Bill
relied a lot more on on his secretaries than he relied on Hillary.
Who Tess's husband also relied on, because there's that moment where she says to Nick that you don't think I knew about the
indiscretion. Was it indiscretion?
Something like that. Yeah.
He had affairs.
Yeah.
An affair at minimum.
At least one.
At least one other person that he.
But she pluralized.
Relied on, which is sad. And I do feel I feel for her that she felt.
I think it's great the way the movie turns her from a unempathetic character to an empathetic character. Mm-hmm. But I think that the cancer route is not necessary in that arc. That you don't need to throw in the fact she's dying to become an empathetic character. Obviously, because
I think it was more probably a callback to right after Doug gets brought back. She says 3 things. She's like, I want to go to the opera, I've got an inoperable brain tumour, and something else. Which one do you think is true? And he says, when are we going? Yeah, no, that was a good little run through, like the setup and the. So I think it was probably just a callback to that, and that she was.
Maybe they had the cancer thing worked out before, and they wrote that line in before, after even.
Maybe
you don't know.
Foreshadowing.
Yes. It's that's a good little throwback and a continuation through the thing, because you think back to that while you're watching it, that little moment, because he comes up and he tears off the head of a rose as an act of defiance,
which is one of the things that the president talks to him about.
He gets told off by the president for it.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about Richard Griffiths.
Yes, let's talk about Richard Griffiths, who plays a character that I'm not sure of what he does.
He's a chef.
Is he?
Yes.
But isn't...
He makes sandwiches. That's all you see him chefing.
You don't even see the other chef chefing, do you?
He may also be the token gay guy. Maybe. Because there's the scene where he knows about fashion and he likes the opera, and it's the 90s. And so we know from films like The Rock that those are possibly, denominators of sexuality in that time in film. Maybe not, it's never explicitly said, but he's great in this, as he is in everything. The History Boys, With Neil and I, Harry Potter.
Yes.
Harry Potter.
What is it? What is it? Something about Sundays. It's like, what's that, Harry?
Oh.
There's no post on Sundays.
That's right. No.
Right you are, Harry. No post on Sundays. No, sir. Right after he chomps into a digestive biscuit.
Is it a digestive?
It looks like a digestive.
An Empire biscuit.
It's not an Empire biscuit. It's the digestive. And it's not a rich tea because it's got a darker colour.
Who sat around on Sundays in the morning and ate biscuits with their family?
I was fat, so I ate biscuits every day of the week.
Yeah, but with your family as like an event. In that film, sit round like on Sunday morning. And they're all having biscuits.
But it's in England. Everyone drinks tea.
Yeah, but that's not true. I'm sure they don't.
See in the north of England, I fucking struggled with this when I went to the north of England. There was people eating a roast dinner, and their drink was tea. Like drinking tea with their
hot
dinner.
Drink with hot meal.
That seems weird to me.
No,
you have like a
cold drink with hot meal.
You either have a jug of water or some diluting juice, which is not a thing in America, apparently. I find it really weird.
Diluting juice?
Yeah.
Diluting juice is... They don't call diluting juice
Squash.
In England.
Squash. No. It's... Where's the squash? There's squashing. There's no squashing involved. It's from concentrate.
You're not hitting a ball against the wall.
But even like squashing fruit, squashing.
You're expanding fruit.
Yeah, you're making it.
That's
fucking.
What you're doing.
You're concentrating that shit.
I guess the the actual diluting juice is squashed. Like it's concentrated juice that you expand with the water. Yeah, you're just gonna me. with your little vape. Did you see the new Elvis film?
I've not seen it, but I've been told by many people to see it.
Kieran, who died, saw it.
Did he enjoy it before he died?
He did like it. It's long, apparently. It's
3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
It was Baz Luhrmann, so it's going to be fucking
Apparently
long.
they don't go into the whole thing where he stole all his music from black people.
And they don't go into the slightly strange thing of that he met
a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
But apparently his manager was bad to him, so it's
he was a fucking cunt.
I've not seen it.
What was it? There was a song that that Dolly Parton and Elvis were going to do together, and that she'd wrote it and he was going to sing on it with her. But
do you think Dolly Parton's going to decompose when she dies, or do you think she'll be preserved?
She'll be preserved for everyone to glory. She'll be in Dollyland. She'll be there for all to see. Good old Dolly.
Dolly Parton and Elvis were going to write a song.
I'd still.
I'm going to cut that.
No, I want to get cancelled. I want to get it so badly. I want to be important enough that people get angry about shit that I say.
We will never be important enough.
No, we will. This podcast is going to fucking take off, and we're going to look back at this episode and laugh. What was I going to say? Yeah, so there was a song that they were going to do together. Dolly had written it, and that Colonel guy that Tom Hanks plays asked for 50% of the writer's rights.
Do you think Tom Hanks' career is declining?
He's playing a lot more he's becoming a bit of a character actor rather than a leading man. Right. I've noticed that he's in a lot less leading roles recently. Or maybe that he's just being overshadowed. Like some of the recent films I've seen him in, like The Post or Saving Mr.
Old.
Banks.
Those are old.
They're recent in the last 10 years.
Recent was like that Happy Time in the Neighborhood or whatever it was called, where he played like a children's TV presenter.
He played
who was it?
Mr.
Yeah, it was Mr. Something.
Yeah.
But he was a children's TV presenter. That was the last sort of leading role I think I know him to have been in. But he's not getting those roles. I mean, maybe the roles aren't being written, because he would still be in demand, even though he's a part of the conspiracy. That
we shall not name any names in, because they're allegations. Well, they're not even allegations. It was just some.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah. Pizzagate.
Yeah.
Which Hillary's involved in.
And it all wraps back around to Guarding Tess.
Yes. Which obviously, like, Kieran would normally provide trivia, but he died.
Yeah.
Somehow, life imitating art. Shirley MacLaine and Nicolas Cage became great friends while filming this.
What else has she been in?
Shirley MacLaine's a big name, but for some reason I don't know any other films that she's been in. But they became great friends while filming due to their mutual love of animals, and they co-adopted many animals together.
What happened to those animals, though?
I don't know, but the ones that are named here is, to name but a few, is a ferret named Whiskers and a zebra named Mr. Z.
1994. So a ferret, I don't imagine, has a long lifespan.
No.
So that ferret, Mr. Whiskers?
Just Whiskers.
Just Whiskers. Probably dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame. Is Shirley MacLaine dead?
I don't know.
Let's have a look.
Let's find out.
While we're doing it, we can have a look at what other films that she's been in.
Because I assumed after seeing this she was a big name to be playing a role.
She alive?
She alive? How old is she?
88.
That's in your range.
Did you say that's in my range? Let's have a look at her recently.
No, I'm getting cancelled. That's young Shirley MacLaine.
That.
Right.
Bone I would.
We'll put that as the little picture of the podcast.
Nothing to do with Nicolas Cage International Treasure. Yeah, we've not got any. Yeah, we've not got anyone. She's been in.
This is episode 5 of Nicolas Cage International Treasure, and we still haven't released an episode, even though this is all coming out weekly or bi-weekly for you.
We're just sort of
twice week to every
backing it up.
But we still have not got our shit sorted.
She's been in Steel Magnolias. That's a famous film.
I think
A very famous film. Terms of Endearment.
I've heard of that.
She's in a film with Clint Eastwood called Two Mules for Sister Sarah. What a Way to Go.
Okay.
Postcards from the Edge. Guarding Tess in Her Shoes. The Children's Hour.
Seeing if there's anything I actually reckon. I don't think
Bewitched.
Wild Ones, I think of. Oh, Bewitched. With Will Ferrell.
Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh, okay, the old one.
And she
Yeah,
played
56.
the woman that Bernie goes
I've
for
not
in
seen
Bernie. You've not seen Bernie? I've seen bits of Bernie.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty I've seen. I thought it was ass.
Yeah, I turned that off. That was shit.
It was dreamy, floaty bullshit.
She's in a film with the one and only Brendan Fraser and Mrs. Winterbourne.
We stand Brendan Fraser.
We do stand him.
Right.
What did we think of Nick? Oh, she was in a film with Dean Martin in 1961. All in a
Ain't that
night.
a kick in the head?
She's telling me we'll be wed. She's big a king size bed. I couldn't feel any better or I'd be sick. Tell me quick, oh, ain't love a kick. Tell me quick, ain't love a kick in the head. That's fair use, because we didn't play any of his, we sung it.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage was fine. He fit the role. It wasn't mad Nicolas Cage. He
had a few moments. Few moments where he got to sort of do the Nicky boy that we all know and love. I remember there was a couple of Cages in this, but I only wrote down one. Just because I really loved the rant. And that he has just left and seeing her after he's come back, so he's in a fucking shitty mood, and he gets back and he gets to the office in quotation marks because it's an office in her house that she doesn't want in there.
It is.
And they're watching the active shooter thing in Washington, and he says, and she basically makes a call to them saying that she wants him, and he's like, oh, I'm busy, I'll be there in 15 minutes. And he goes, what does she want, chocolate, some kind of goddamn fruit drink or something? What do we look like, waiters? Are we a bunch of goddamn waiters? We want to be down there! As he gestures to the team, we want to be down there!
It was a good Nicky. Nicky Cage moment.
That was a good bit. And I think it wasn't like other moments that he has where sort of randomly come out of nowhere. That was like a build up of he's gone to Washington expecting to be doing his thing, and then he's like, no, you're going back, and then he's like, okay, and he fucking has to deal with her, and then he goes back and he sees what he wants to be doing, and then he's like, oh fucking what, I want to be down there.
We love Nicolas Cage.
We stan Nicolas Cage.
And when the shit hits the fan, are you still a fan?
Yes.
Okay. Join us next week when we perform or maybe the week after, when we perform a seance. Good old get the Ouija board out with Kieran and John to hear us discuss Kill Chain.
Kill Chain?
I've never heard of it, but apparently it's a Nick Cage film.
Kill Chain. 2019, so it's a recent.
Okay, so in a sort of like spree of indie films.
two assassins engage in a fierce battle in a hotel room. This sets into motion an unpredictable chain of events that transform a peaceful night into one filled with murder and betrayal.
Lovely.
That's what we like, and he seems to be like the only sort of big name in it, okay. Which I look forward to. And I'll quote, and to sort of end the episode, since we spoke about Dean Martin, I'll end it with a funny Dean Martin quote, where he's like, "See, people that don't," where he starts off by saying, "I quit drinking recently. Now I freeze it and eat it like a popsicle." And he says, "Now the thing about people that don't drink is that when you wake up in the morning, that's as good as you're gonna feel all day."
Bye.
Bye.
Got me twitching, got me snitching, got me making a fuss. Nigga got me bowled over, got me over his shoulder, got me slapping, got me whacking, got me smacking my lips. Oh, Nicolas Cage, oh, Nicolas Cage, he's an international treasure of ours, yeah.
At least 4 Pratts.